live with is an alcoholic or drug addict, suffered critical loss such as loved one, a treasured job within the last 18 months. So these are just samples of what we can experience as a loss. So how can we overcome the loss? And as we're going to learn these principles, there are two definitions that we need to learn. It's about grief and mourning. So grief is an emotional reaction that follows the loss of someone or something with great value. So it's the first reaction when losing something or someone or something really important for us. And mourning is the psychological process that occurs when experiencing the loss. So what happens in our brain, how we cope with. So the types of losses can be a loss of social status, a loss of a body part. I had a friend, her brother, he had diabetes and the right leg or left leg, I don't remember, they needed to amputate it. But when they asked for the permission for it, he was not there, so he signed, he didn't understand what he did sign. So when they operated, they removed the limb, and when he realized of it, it was shocking because he did not consciously approve something like that. So that is a type of loss. Also, the loss of the ability to maintain a physical function. We can no longer do something, you know. The loss of a job, the loss of a home, and the loss of a loved one. Those are types of losses. So this is when we apply a little bit of what my husband talked about. Cognitive behavioral therapy is also very useful when facing the loss of something really important. When loss is really is natural, it happens very easily. If when losing someone, we start thinking distortionally. And let me give you an example. The reality when losing someone would be, I am losing an important part of my life. That is the truth, right? We're learning cognitive behavioral therapy that we need to tell ourselves the truth all the time and catch our thoughts. If our thoughts are being distorted, then we need to replace them with truth so that feelings can follow. But a distortion will be, my world has ended. I cannot live without her or without him, right? That is a distortion because the world has not ended, and yes, we can still live without that loss, that type of loss, right? Another example will be the reality. This is the reality. I will miss the companionship and love that we share. This is true, this is tender, realistic, desirable, will enhance your humanity and add depth to the meaning of life. But a distortion will be, I will never again be happy because she or he died. It's unfair, right? And that is a distortion. It's not true, it's a lie. These thoughts are based on distortion and will defeat us. And what's the reason that it will do that? Because if thinking that way and thinking that that is the truth, that means that only I can be happy if that person or that thing or whatever was lost needs to be back. But many times we cannot have those things back. So then we'll never be happy, right? So that's why it's a distortion. But we can be happy. We can live a fulfilling lives even in the midst of a loss. So when having a loss, especially a loved one, the grieving process is required for healing. So it is okay to feel sad when we are experiencing a loss. The first stage of the grief part of it is that it's shocking and disbelief. It's a shock. It then seems unreal. As this stage progresses, a feel of numbness, like no emotion at all. It's just a numbness. Denial of the loss, thinking that this is not happening. We've seen that people that they are still thinking, no, it's gonna come back. That person is gonna come back. No, this didn't happen. Crying, anger, screaming, all these things can happen in the first stage. It can last from 3 to 12 months. And we can experience preoccupation with the loss, anxiety, restlessness, difficult sleeping. All these things can happen during this stage. I remember my uncle lost my aunt, his wife. It was unexpectedly, and it was very shocking for him. And he will cry. He will. I remember my aunt, when setting the table, she will put individual place mats, and she used them for years and years. So he will go and grab them, and in the back she will write to her and say things to her. And he will not shower. He didn't want to do anything. It was just so sad for him. It was the shocking part of it. But he talked about it. He wrote things about it. And eventually he started to feel better. So that's part of the grieving process. You will start feeling better. Other symptoms or other things that may happen is loss of appetite, digestive problems, fatigue, anger, guilt when things are not being resolved, right? And when that happens for a Christian person, we do have hope. We know that if even that person is not there anymore and we didn't solve all our issues with that person, we can look forward to the resurrection and the time when we can come to them and say, I'm sorry, even though, they are going to resurrect and the millennium will be able to talk to them, right? Depressive response on the anniversary of the loss, a clearer awareness of the loss, recognition of the consequences of the loss, and mood swings. That all can happen at this time. The good news is that although long in duration, you should gradually feel better month by month. Stage 3, also from 3 to 12 months after the loss, is the incorporation of new habits, lifestyle changes, making wise plans for the future. I had a friend also. She was married, had 2 sons. And at the age of 10, their oldest was diagnosed with leukemia. And he battled and battled and battled the sickness, and he passed away. And they were grieving so much. I remember they coming to our home, and they were just crying, and we were trying to embrace them and help them. They would talk about it, and it was very difficult. But the terrible thing that it was a year after the death of the oldest, he was diagnosed with cancer, colon cancer. And he battled that and went to all the treatments, and he also passed away. So the wife and the young one, they were struggling with all this, and they were going through all this. We could see all that anger, difficult sleeping. They were just a lot of emotions coming in. But as the times went by, she started to incorporate new habits. They will invite all the community, all the friends to their home at the birthday of the son that passed away, and they will have cake, and they will have slides, and they will have good things, and then they establish a scholarship they put the name of the son on it, and we will donate towards that, and then students can go to a school that brings more meaning to their lives. And I remember when the boy passed away, they will always on Christmas send the Christmas cards and put the pictures there. So in there it will be all the family. And when he passed away, they still will put all the family in the new pictures with only the 3 of them. And then the next year, when he passed away, she will send still the 3 of them and the 4 of them. And then the next year, I was curious of what she will do. And then the next year, she will only put herself and the son. So she started to incorporate new things in life, accepting, and we have a hope. So that is also very important. So gradually take charge of your life and resolve the loss through activity, readjustment, and education. The healthy grieving, that is not something that happens naturally. We will have the tendency of continuing on those thoughts of pain. But the healthy grieving process is, if it's conceptualized as a task, as something that I need to do, instead of just thinking, the time is going to solve everything. No, but during that time, if we start thinking of things that we can do to help ease the pain and go through the process of healing for the loss. It is what it makes us heal. So task implies that there's a work to do, and this can empowering the mourner to who feels so helpless, right? So put it in your head, I'm feeling very sad, but I'm gonna do something to heal. And what are the things that we can do? This is what I was saying, time does not always heal the wound, but working through them over time can, right? So what are the tasks that we can do? Things that we can do to start grieving healthy. Communicate about the loss, important. Have a mourning ritual, having a funeral, talk about the person. That is important. Do not avoid the pain. It's okay to feel sad. It is okay to miss the person. It is okay to go over that. Be honest about how you feel and write about the loss. That is important. Other things that we need to do, other tasks that we need to take is self-care is important. Try as much as possible to sleep adequately, importantly. Adequate diet, not neglect the way we eat. And also exercise is important. Also maintaining social ties, having someone support you. I remember my uncle, all their brothers and sisters will come to him and spend time with him, even though he was feeling sad. But that helped him to heal healthy. Studies have shown poor social support to be more closely related to later depression than it is the history of torture. That was very mind blown to me, because if anybody could have a reason to be depressed, probably is the person who is being tortured, is being inflicted pain, and that can be probably the person that can develop depression. But the studies have shown that those who lack social support and the friendship of others can develop more depression than the persons who are being tortured. That to me was mind-blowing. It was like how important it is to have people around us that give us their friendship and love. And maintaining spiritual ties. Do not turn your back on God when you are. Do not turn back our back to God when we are suffering a loss. That is so important. Jesus said, "In this world you will have affliction, but be of good cheer, because I have conquered the world." So it's like we will go through difficult situations. We will experience this loss. We will go through that, but let's be of good cheer, because God is there with us, and He already conquered the world. And there's going to be a time when there's no loss, no more death, no more sorrow, no more pain, no more crying, no more any of that. But while we get there, we can have the hope that God is with us and that Jesus sympathizes with us, that He also suffered losses as well. Another task, use this opportunity to develop more patience. So what is patience? Is the capacity to endure hardship, difficult or inconvenience without complaining. Right? That's the hard one, right? And not necessarily with losses, but inconveniences in our lives. We tend to just, why did it happen to me? Or I don't know, start complaining about it, but containing ourselves and put everything in God's hands and just not complaining. It gives more strength. It helps us be more emotionally stable. Run with patience the race that is set before us. And there was a pastor that said, sometimes when we pray to God and says, "Oh Lord, give me more patience," we're expecting that nobody will bother us, right? Well, it happens the opposite. Everybody is going to bother us. So that way we can develop patience. And he was telling that he loved to have his shoes all polished and clean, and he hated it when somebody come and step on them, right? So he will just, be so mad. And everybody will come and step on his shoes until one day he says, "Okay, oh Lord, I'm going to give this up to you. It's okay if they step on my shoes." Well, from then on, nobody steps on his shoes, because he finally had developed patience and tolerance and all that. So anyway, I love this quote. It's found in Ministry of Healing, page 472. It says, "In the full light of day and in the hearing of the music and other voices, the caged bird will not sing the song that his master seeks to teach him. He learns a snatch of this and a trill of that, but never a separate and entire melody. But the master covers the cage and he places it where the bird can listen to the one song he's to sing. In the dark, he tries and tries again to sing that song until it is learned. And he breaks forth in perfect melody. Then the bird is brought forth, and ever after he can sing that song in the light. Thus God deals with his children. He has a song to teach us, and when we learn it amid in the shadows of affliction, we can sing it ever afterward." Isn't that precious? Oh, praise God. So when we are going through difficult situations, just remember, the Lord is just putting me like the bird in a cage, in a dark, and he's wanting to teach me a song that otherwise I will not have learned it, because he wants us to reflect his character perfectly. Task number 3, adjust to environment with the loss. Don't make life-changing decisions, because we are not emotionally stable. We cannot make decisions, so don't do that. Identify the roles that the lost person or thing play in your life, and find how can these functions be met now that this person is not there, or the job, or the friendship, or the possession that you lost, whatever it will be. This does not mean that the loss is forgotten. Build on current or new relationships. Develop new routines. Find new interests and continue the old ones. As my friend, she quit her job. She's staying now at home with the young one, and she started to study. She started to do new things, invite people to her home, start Bible studies, new things that they didn't do, and kept whatever they were doing with her husband and son. So that helped her to find meaning in her life. And that didn't mean that she forgot her husband. I mean, we still sometimes talk about the times that we were together, eating together, and she still cries. But now she is finding more meaning in her life, and she can still be happy. So do not settle for surviving. That probably happens when we do not take care of the task that we need to do to overcome. So, not settle for surviving. Honor the lost person or thing by growing from the pain. Like she did, I was just, it was amazed at what she did. They did all the scholarship, and they started to do new things, honoring the loss of the son. Reflect on what you have learned or gained through the loss, and let life be more meaningful. Now you have more meaning, because we are going to honor those who are not here anymore, or whatever other loss may be, by doing good things for others. That brings meaning to life. In Romans 8:28 it says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him." So it's okay when going through difficult situations. God is making everything work for good, and maybe we do not understand, right? We won't understand everything that God does in our lives, and we won't see. But if we see, then we wouldn't call it faith. We need to believe that He sees. And Sister White says that if we could see the same way that God sees the choices that He's making, we will choose the same that He chooses. But then it wouldn't be called faith. It's called faith because we say, okay, Lord, I don't know, I don't understand, I don't see, I don't see the purpose, I don't see the why this difficult has to happen, but you know, and you're working it together for good, and even though I don't understand it. So, any questions? I think I finished much faster than what I thought. Yes, my husband says, no, she's really fast. Yes, I talk too fast.
Just wanted to clarify something. The service is at 6:30. I know there were some questions about is it 6:30? Little B just confirmed at 6:30. So we still have time for some questions, whether from Sister Colette or Dr. Rosado, if you'd like. If you don't have any questions, then that's fine. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you. I don't know if in regards to this or cognitive behavioral therapy, whichever or whatever other questions you may have, we still have time to talk. I don't know if anybody would like to share also a comment, something that happened that you would like to share. The others may be benefited.
I have a close friend who recently lost her mother to COVID,
Yes.
and then not even a year later, her father passed from congestive heart failure. And this family, they're blaming themselves for making poor decisions.
Yes.
It's my fault. And if I would have done this, and if I would have done that.
Yes.
What advice?
Yeah, yes, and the thing is again, they are basing their beliefs in things that they cannot change. So they need to. That will be probably a distorted cognition because they cannot do anything to come back and solve it, and then they're going to be miserable forever. So now they need to replace that thought with the truth and saying, "We love her, we love them." We did the best that we could to help them. And we know that we will see them again, and that will bring peace to them, isn't it? I don't know if you have anything else to add. Yes, but it's common. It's common, especially like situations like this, or when somebody has done something wrong to the person that passed away and they cannot solve it anymore. How can you solve that? They're not there anymore, right?
And the people I see suffering from this kind of situations, this guilt, they just,
yes.
but they take it and they keep it and they go back and